Hey guys, just sitting here in the parking lot. I thought I'd make a video. I noticed somebody left a comment on my last video, and I think they missed what I was talking about, which that kind of seems to run a theme with my videos. I guess that's why I get sick of making them. But they were saying Peter Pan syndrome, and we all know what that is. That is basically an insult to a man. You're a baby and you won't grow up and take responsibility. That's what that is. You know, we know that's what that is. It's an insult. It's meant to be that. And I always laugh because there's a difference between not taking responsibility, not wanting to, that's like, well, let me restart because I want to say it just right. There's a difference between being offered responsibility. You have the chance and you don't take it, right? You could have got married and you didn't. You could have had that job and you didn't. You could have had that life and you didn't. You could have done this and gone to college, but you didn't. It's all those things. And that is definitely, I would say, probably Peter Pan syndrome, definitely. That is not me. Not even close. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I never had an opportunity to get married. Never. Never had that opportunity. Never was helped to meet no one. Asked a few people. Never happened. Not marriage, but I mean, you don't ask that when you first meet somebody. But I mean, getting to know people. Never worked out. And I never really had the chance to do it. And that's another example. Didn't have the chance to really have a life. I was damaged. Most autistic people have disabilities. Like I said, and I agree with one doctor I saw on TV the other day. He said he thinks Asperger's, which is like a mild form of autism, it's very mild. He said that it's overdiagnosed. That he said true autism, you're going to see it. You're going to see it if you're around them long enough. Not just by looking at them once, but I mean, he was saying that, if you're around them long enough, you're going to see that they're disabled. They have disabilities. And I had tons of them. Poor hand-eye coordination, which kept me from doing basically everything when I was growing up. Let's see, what doctor was it? I wish I could remember him. I need to find that video. He's a Christian, and he's a savant in science. He lives in Toronto, Canada. I cannot remember his name. He's a Christian. He writes apologetic books. I've got to find him. But he was talking about growing up. He said, had I not had my savantness, I don't know what I would have done. He said, because I stunk at everything. I had motor coordination problems. I had mental difficulties. He said it was hard for me to stay focused. It was hard for me to... I was very small. He was talking about being, and that's why I still think there's a link to being small and autism. There's something about us being extremely small when we're young. And he said he was. He said, even though my parents are of, average height. And he said, I was very small. And he was talking about having those problems. He said, and what it really boiled down to is I just about wasn't good at anything. And see, that was my problem. And on top of it, I'm not a savant. I've had the same arguments on here, It shows that people just don't listen. But, yeah, if I can find him, I'll definitely save some of his videos. I watched one of them, and I cannot remember his name. I'll have to find... He's an older man now, but he was born with autism. He lives in, like I said, Toronto, Canada. I think he grew up in Vancouver, I think it was. But that's the thing about Peter Pan syndrome. Now, I get when you've been offered responsibility, you just don't want to take it. You just don't want to grow up, right? That I understand. And two, I mean, don't get me wrong. If the guy's paying his bills and he's taking care of himself, the heck with it. Why would you even want to grow up? But anyway, I'm not going to get into that because we all know what Peter Pan syndrome is. That's just for men. Women don't have that problem, because women have a purpose in life. They always have one. And a man doesn't. But I'm not going to get into that in this video. I don't care about it enough to talk about it. Let's just say it. Let's just say I'm going to give you a hint. It's childbirth. But anyway. I definitely don't think I was Peter Pan syndrome, because growing up I was a lot more mature than most kids. I had like I said, I had my disabilities and I needed help because I couldn't do those things. I couldn't drive. How many dates do you get when you don't drive as a man? I'm going to say, 0. I could not drive. I drive now, but I couldn't drive growing up. Didn't have my license all through high school or my young years. And that hindered me a lot. That hindered me dating. It hindered me getting a job because I lived off in the country. This is where I lived. I grew up in this area. And there was nothing here, man. If you didn't drive, you were done, man, unless somebody's going to chauffeur you around. I mean, you ain't going nowhere. At least when you live in the city, you can take transportation. You can't do that here. And you have to be much more self-reliant. Well, autistic people cannot be very self-reliant. Some of them can, but most are not. They're disabled. And you would never ask somebody with Down syndrome to move out, quit being Peter Pan, because they got Down syndrome. I'm not comparing me to Down syndrome, but I'm using that as an example. They're damaged, But, I don't know, people just don't seem to understand that kind of stuff. I know people are pretty stupid. Well, you can tell, unless we look disabled, unless we look handicapped, we're not going to be accepted as handicapped, at least not as men. Men have an obligation. They still have a gender role they have to keep up. Women don't. We've freed them of all those things. And it's true. I remember Bill Burr, the comic. He's so accurate. He was doing a podcast a few months ago, and he was talking with another comic, and he said, it's funny. They did it. They finally did it. He said, women have finally done it. They have absolved themselves of all responsibility. They're not judged for anything. They're not held accountable for anything. Like he said, they did it. They achieved it. That's what they wanted, and they got it. Anything they do, it's their life, man. You'll never hear nobody say you need to woman up. You'll never hear that. You'll never hear somebody say you need to be a good wife. You'll never see that. You'll never see, you will never, ever, ever, ever see that. Not as a whole. I mean, I guess you may say it every once in a while from somebody. But as a whole, no. Men, oh yeah. You need to man up. I mean, like I said, man up. What does that mean? You need to man up. Does the woman need to woman up? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But that's what I mean. That's the problem. Men are held to a standard. They are held to a gender role. And when they move out of that gender role and they don't accomplish it, they're judged. Whether they can do it or not, they're judged. Autistic men are judged. Guarantee you they're judged. Like I said, women just aren't. They used to be. I mean, my grandmother told me if a woman was not married when she was young, that was a little bit of a different time. Most women obviously didn't go to college and didn't do any of those things back then. But like she would tell me, if you were not married as a woman, probably by the time you were about 21, 22 years old, people were already looking at you like, what are you doing? Wasting your life? What are you doing? Get in there. And she said, they tell you, get married. Get in there and get married and be a wife. Don't see that no more. And like she said, if a woman did not hold up her end of the responsibilities in a marriage, she was judged. My grandmother was old enough to remember that. That she said a man was judged too, but I mean, so was a woman. You get into marriage, your job is to be a wife and stay home and take care of that house and take care of those kids. She told me that was how it was looked upon. Look, sounds like she had a gender role back then. But like I said, women do, men don't. I mean, women don't, men do. They have to be judged. They have an obligation to keep. Women don't. And that's why I've said many times, just like that comment about Peter Pan syndrome, that's the same thing. You either enforce the gender roles for both, male and female, or you dissolve them both. Because you can't, and believe me, I don't think dissolving them both is good. But you can't leave one and not the other. You can't strictly enforce one and not the other. You're going to have an imbalance. And one group's going to be persecuted and the other is not. I don't think it's fair to relieve men of every responsibility and make women have to do everything. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. But there you go. Well, I'm going to keep that video short. I really don't have anything else I want to say. I mean, it's You know, it's just a subject I get sick of talking about because it's just so dumb and it ain't going to change anytime soon. So, because of all the indoctrination, the left wing propaganda, and all that, it's funny that the more educated a person is in the United States, they did a survey and polling and everything on this subject. The more educated a person is, obviously high school, college, and then graduate degree, postgraduate, all that kind of stuff. The more you move up, doctorate degree, they're more liberal. They're always more liberal. Why? You're more indoctrinated than the rest of the people. And if you haven't been to college at all, you're probably not going to be very left wing. If you just went to probably a public school, because you're not getting that indoctrination. It's indoctrinating. They're trying to make you a Marxist, basically. And definitely socially liberal. They're definitely trying to make you that. But that's all I got to say for now, guys. Like I said, I don't think I'm Peter Pan syndrome. There's a difference between having the opportunity and just rejecting it and not being able to do that. And that's been my problem. Being autistic, you're denied a lot of things, man, based on your level and the help that you get. And of course, I never got therapy for it, because I didn't know I was for a long time. I'm not even treated by my mom like I have autism. She'll always, it's very mild. So I know what that's like, man. They don't want to accept it because it's responsibility, But anyway, that's all I got to say, guys. Hope you enjoy this video. I'll try to upload it as soon as I can. I'm not at home right now, so I'll try to get home, upload this with my phone, and take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.